Hi everyone and welcome to this episode of Soul Seeds, where my guest expert for today is Andrea. Hi Andrea.
Hello. Hi.
And Andrea is an author and also the CEO and founder of the Ganga Moon Yoga and Reiki School. And we're going to talk about the art of concentration today. So thank you so much, Andrea, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes.
Thank you. And I would love to know, what is the art of concentration?
Mm. The art of concentration is one of the 8 limbs of yoga.
Mm,
Yoga is usually people think yoga is the postures where you
mm,
see the tall, pretty ladies like a
yeah.
pretzel. And actually it is, but that's only one of the limbs of yoga. There are 8. And the
Mm,
art of concentration is one limb or branch of yoga, and it's a practice. And I cover it more in depth in my book, Deeper Days, that I wrote. I wrote this book when they closed my yoga studio and Reiki school down for the pandemic. So I
oh,
was
sorry.
thinking of a way, how can I have yoga at somebody's house or in their heart or something they
Mm,
can practice by themselves? And what comes to mind mostly, and what people do experience from practicing the postures of yoga, is that there is a mental component to it. And that's where we come to the art of concentration. It really is a mental component. But to make that a little bit easy for people that might be listening, think of it like this. If you're in a yoga pose and you're thinking about dinner or the jerk on the highway that cut you off, like, is it really yoga? Right?
mm,
And so there's a way that you can be in the posture and have your mind in the posture as well. And
mm.
this is part of concentration. And it's a very simple practice. So I'll show you with an example from my book, and then we can talk more about it. So the book is very simple. There's 365 yoga inspirations for inner calm amidst chaos. So
Mhm.
very simple for each day. You can read whichever one you like, but there's a little paragraph for self-inquiry.
Mm,
At the end, here is: breath is safety, I am safe. Breath
mm,
is safety, I am safe. This is the part that during the day, if you remember that small sentence, it's at the bottom of each page, as often as you can throughout the day, you
mm,
are bringing your attention onto something. Breath is safety, I am safe.
mm,
Breath is safety. So then, if you're in traffic, you can close your eyes for a moment and bring your attention back to
mm,
breath is safety, I am safe. If you're at work and coworkers are doing something, you
mm,
have then this nugget, this this something to concentrate on for the
mhm,
whole day. The next day is different, then you pick another one. But here's what happens. Every time you bring your attention back onto something, you are strengthening the muscles that are inside all of us of focus, awareness, and concentration.
mm,
So then imagine this for each day, right? It
mm,
calms down. What happens is you start to notice that there's a space happens. A space happens that's so beautiful between how you respond to people. Usually,
mm,
and we react to things. The coffee's too hot. The coffee's too this. I need a muffin with that. Oh, I'll bring one for this person. Oh, they love it. We go all day with our regular reactions. Not good, not bad. This is nature, right? The
mm,
art of concentration is committing to yourself to add meaning to your day, right? So meaning's coming and going all day long. But with this practice, you're putting it in. You're saying to yourself, I am safety. Breath is safety. I am safe.
It's
So
like
then
a
it
mantra,
adds your meaning. Hmm?
mantra for connection almost.
Yeah, so you're using, so in the book, yep, we talk about mantras. It could be mantras, affirmations. These are similar things.
Mm,
Mantras, affirmations, vision boards, favorite lyric of a song. Yes, those are all nice. But if you're not bringing awareness back onto it very often, then it's just an idea floating in the head. So
mhm,
this is a practice, a spiritual practice that's done each day. Why? What is the point of it? The whole point is that um, If you can hold your attention on one thought, then you can hold your attention on 2, on 3, on 4, on 5. And once you have some space, once you've developed this space, that's where you build your yoga practice. That's where you can hold a pose with a clear mind and not have the monkey brain wandering in and out, distracting your peace. Once you have that, then you can have a nice meditation practice. Maybe people want to meditate and sit for 5-10 minutes a day, and they can't do it. Right. It makes sense because you haven't trained your mind. You haven't brought your attention back onto something. So this is one of the steps, and it's a step, one of the limbs of yoga, and it's before the meditation limb, which comes next. Once you develop the art of concentration, then you can hold things. Then you have a container, a foundation to hold deeper practices.
And is it the same as being like mindful or present?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So mindfulness has some different meanings just because it's become like a mainstream word.
Right.
But basically, meditation, and I've studied lots of meditation, metaphysics, transcendental, Zen Buddhist mindfulness. I've studied lots of them, but here's the main thing, just to make things simple for the audience, is that you were bringing the mind has two functions. It wanders off and it comes back. It forgets and it remembers, right? So with meditation, we're practicing that, bringing it back, notice when it wanders and go get it again, and go get it again. The mind is always going to go like this is how it works. That's its nature. Thoughts, ideas, images, perceptions. Oh my God, check this out. Always, always, right? So without practice, that's what's happening all day long. And then your emotions, your stories are all attached to all of those things.
We get stuck in this thought loop, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And then we act in that way, which makes actually samskaras, they're called in yoga. The samskara is like a scar. Like the most beautiful image of this is a tractor driving on the beach and it leaves the tire tracks on the beach. So every time we're reacting to things and we're responding to things, we're leaving those tire prints in our mind, and we'll keep going into the same grooves. That's why this is so important. The meaning is being added to your day regardless.
Right.
So why not have the consciousness, the awareness to put your own meaning into the day?
And it's a sense of empowerment as well, right?
This is a sense of empowerment, absolutely, because you start to realize that you can control your thoughts, that you are more than your thoughts, that you are more than the stories your mind is telling you. And with that power and knowledge, you can start to create your own stories of a way that you want to be in the world, a love story. A lot of the mind stories now and what's in the mind has already happened. It's memory. We can't remember tomorrow. It's not there. So everything that your mind is saying, and it's a little trickster, everything your mind is saying is old. It's already happened. But who you want to be is not there. And so meditation closes that gap between where you are and where you want to be. It's so amazing. I love it.
And I also love the quote that you had sent me before our interview together, is about the awareness of impermanence. Could you explain that a bit more for me?
So with my Zen Buddhist teacher, I did a lot of studying, and in my books, I have a lot of studying around impermanence. And basically, it can be as broad or as simple. I'll give you a couple examples as you believe. So impermanence, one, you can look at life, and if your grandparents are still alive at our age or not, probably they've passed on. Hopefully you have one, but
Not anymore.
life comes. We get sick. There's old age and there's death. This is life. The Buddhist, that's one of the first noble truths in Buddhism, is that life is suffering. We come here, we get sick, we get old, and we die. That's impermanence. If we come here, we think we're going to be healthy and live forever. that's suffering in life.
Mm.
That's
Right.
suffering. It's going against nature, against what's happening. And we will always be in a state of suffering, dissatisfaction, lack, depression, all of these things. Broke, like try and buy things to fix it. It's
Mm.
not going to happen.
Just basically not accepting what is.
What is, yeah, which is nobody's fault, right? Because we weren't taught this in grade school. If you go to school, you're not being taught these things, so it's nobody's
Mm.
fault. But if you're listening now, and I loved about um the pandemic was like a large yoga class. Everyone had to stop and take
Mm.
time for themselves. And they could see, when you stop, you get to see what's important. What am I consuming? What am I creating? What is worth my time and what isn't? And the consciousness has risen so that these concepts that I'm talking about here is not everybody can get them. Once
Mm.
you hear it, I'm not saying anything that's not known in the body already. That'd be impossible. So
Right.
it's just awakening up to it, maybe getting the book Deeper Days. Here's how I do it so easy is I make my coffee in the morning. Just while my coffee's on the coffee pot brewing, it's open. And then
Mm.
I just have a moment to myself here. And then I remember the bottom line as often as I can throughout the day. The
Mm.
next year, you're not the same person. So you can go through it again. Each time you're different. And you might not like the days. That's okay. Just keep going, right?
Right.
But what starts to happen and what yoga is a practice of the self,
Mm.
through the self, to the self.
Mm.
So every answer you get from the self-inquiry parts, like we need to balance the light and darkness within us far too often. We fear the dark and adore only the light. When we acknowledge that darkness has a place in life, a silent time out to allow the soul to grow or experience sorrow, then we can welcome the light from a place of having become friends with our inner darkness.
Mm.
Like that makes you think for a second. And in
Right.
that moment, you're off that loop we were talking about. You're not your memory, you're not your past. Now, this is new pathways, new ways of thinking in your mind, in your heart, and hopefully in your relationships, your coworkers, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned that we don't want to really accept the dark for, but that again, that is not accepting what is because we're both all dark and light.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And what my Zen Buddhist teacher told me about that was, Andrea, he said, if you're always focused on the pleasure and the good things in life, you're missing half of your life.
Mm. So
And I
true.
was like,
Yeah.
what? I'm sitting
Bombshell.
here now, I'm sitting here now is like, he's so right. And so it's what I teach my students, right? I can only teach what I've learned, what I've practiced, what I've done. What I noticed after having this practice of deeper days, and my first experience with a daily practice was in 1999. I did a course in miracles, um, a foundation from the foundation of inner peace. It transforms every thought of fear into thoughts of love.
Mm.
So I did that for the whole year, and I couldn't believe my spiritual growth. And then I didn't do it for a couple of years, and I was like, okay, I really didn't grow, like spiritually
Mm.
speaking. So I did it again for a couple years in a row just to really make up for those other ones. I'm a bit of an overachiever. Um, but during COVID and during the pandemic, and as the outside world gets a little bit crazy, a practice like this is so important because it really does keep connection from
Mhm.
your head to your heart.
Mhm.
It's you doing the practice, it's you adding meaning. Every answer or anything you think about is you. And
Mm.
it's really, we're so much more than we think we are.
Mhm. And
And
it's like such a ritual can be like an anchor in your self-care routine, really.
yeah, and that grows and that has a benefit that only you see.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's so after that was when I wrote Stillness in the Storm, a
Mm.
conscious daily journal of yoga and spiritual healing. But I didn't know this book was coming. And I'm quite sure and certain at this point that I could only fall into the practice of stillness that I had only just heard about in all my trainings before. but never, never, never could experienced it as much as I did after writing Deeper Days and going through the Deeper Days myself. Deeper Days I wrote, and then I practiced them all for a year, and then I made them really simple, like as you can see, because our attention span is not the same. People aren't reading books front to back as much as they used to. And so that's why I made it simple. So we could just catch it, use it, feel it, and just the lighter we all are, the more in touch with ourselves we all are, the whole world is lighter. We're all interconnected. It affects the whole world.
Well, I hope this interview will spread a bit more light.
Oh, I'm sure it will. How could it not? Yes.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Did I answer all of your questions?